The full secret Balgrave route concept, improved version. After entering the cyber world, make sure to spare the Wurwire and tasks. It does not matter what you do with Virovirakan as they are not confirmed to be one of Queen's minions. When you reach the arcade machine, make sure to lose over and over, Queen will eventually just stop you from playing more. Pick the bosom option in the cutscene after, then leave and return to the same room. The Swatchling will have different dialogue. He'll talk about how you seem to be a huge fan of Queen, and that you should talk to Swatch if you want to be one of her recruits. Talk to him again and he'll assume that you are not convinced yet, and he'll give you a glass of pure battery acid, which will be useful later. Do not buy any of Sweet Captain Cake's products, as they are rebels against Queen. When you reach the Birdly fight, bump into him until he reaches 96% mercy, then throw the glass of pure battery acid at him. The acid combining with the explosion will create a mega explosion. When you reach the trash pit, Birdly will be lying there unconscious because of the said mega explosion. No one acknowledges this. Because of the fact that Birdly isn't there to interrupt Queen, and how cool you look, Queen joins your party. This is where the route really starts. When you enter a battle, Queen has 3 spells: Q action, banana heal and ball throw. Use ball throw to kill every enemy. It hits all enemies for medium damage, making you have to use it twice against most battles, but thrice for ambulance. Unlike most spells, it doesn't use TP, instead after you use it, you'll see a green circle bouncing around in the battle box, and you'll need to collect it in order to use it again. When you reach the pink Addison, pick Wear something else, much to Queen's dismay as she regards her and Chris as best friends forever. After walking away, the Addison will offer you a freeze ring. Queen gets mad as it is a ring and not a ball, resulting in her using ball throw on the Addison. Every puzzle from now on is solved by Queen using ball throw. All the traffic lights are blown up when you find them, NPCs are gone, and enemies run away from you. When you go to Spamton's dumpster, he asks if you want the Ring of Thorns, to which Queen immediately prepares to ball throw because it's another ring and not a ball. Before Spamton interrupts with "Wait. Where's the Hokimama?" he then quickly improvises by giving her a Pippi's ball if she agrees to let him into her mansion's basement. After obtaining the Pippi's ball, Queen immediately throws away the plastic ball she previously had. Since Birdly still isn't there, you just end up walking to the festival where Queen uses ball throw, which has a much bigger explosion now, on the carnival game, and finds a weird enemy with a box head behind it, and you enter a battle. You find a new spell named Balgrave, which costs 70 TP, so you save up. In the Balgrave animation, Queen throws the Pippi's ball in front the box head, and instead of Spamton heads flying out of the Pippi's, trash flies towards the Pippi's from all angles. The enemy is eventually trapped in a circular trash ball, truly a Balgrave. At this point there's no way to abort the run. After the weird box enemy is encapsulated in the trash ball, you walk to Queen's mansion, where you meet Task Manager, who's captured Susie and Ralsei. Queen prepares to Balgrave them, before remembering that these are your friends, right? Ralsei talks about how Chris has to seal the Dark Fountain because of the roaring. At this point Queen had actually forgotten about Dark Fountains entirely because she was having so much fun. Susie tries to convince Chris to let her and Ralsei rejoin the party, but she's quickly rejected by Queen, who stays as Chris' only party member. If you go to the mansion basement, Spamton will have locked the door, and has similar dialogue to a Snowgrave route. You peacefully walk around Queen's mansion. The only fight you engage in is against Mouse Wheel, which Queen quickly Balgraves. After Queen shows off her sick mech, you go to seal the fountain. Before you're interrupted by Spamton Neo, Queen scoffs at his robot suit and says hers is much better. She prepares to Balgrave, but Spamton just laughs and says, "Trying to use my own Pippi's against me?" The Pippi's ball explodes in Queen's hand and she starts the battle without a weapon. In the act menu, you have 2 spells, Sword Throw and Chris Throw, both costing 50 TP and Queen's turn 2. It is heavily recommended to use this as Queen doesn't have Ball Throw or Balgrave anymore and her normal attack does barely any damage, though you can still use Chris' normal attack. Also Q action does nothing, and Banana Heal is still there. Sword Throw does heavy damage and has Queen throwing Chris' sword. Chris Throw does even more damage, but Chris takes a bit of damage every time you use it because Queen is throwing Chris. The fight is considerably easier than normal Snowgrave Spamton Neo, but harder than the normal Spamton Neo. The part where Spamton increases his defense is skipped, and you just kill him. Then you seal the Dark Fountain. You wake up with Susie, with Birdly waking up shortly after, and Noel doesn't wake up. Birdly mentions how he has a headache, before realizing that Chris and Susie are there. You can say Noelle invited us to study and where's Queen? If you pick where's Queen, Birdley will ask if your brain has forgotten that you're not in the medieval era, while picking Noelle invited us to study will prompt Birdley to realize that Noelle hasn't woken up. He brushes this off, though he still seems a bit nervous, and just walks away without saying goodbye. There's only one difference in the real world afterwards. In the hospital Noelle won't be here, so you won't get the cutscene. Rudolph's dialogue will stay mostly the same, with just a slight mention of how Noelle hasn't come yet. If you go back to Castletown, Queen will greet you as a best friend, before cutting to the chase and saying she can't go on any more adventures with you, because of how she needs to take care of Lancer. As a thank you gift for the good times she'll give you royal boots, a piece of armor with +3 defense, and your heart in battle will move faster. She also won't have the conversation with King, or send regards to Noelle and Birdley, as she barely spent any time with them. K.